Still working that entry-level job, sis? Sarah smirked across Mom's antique dining table. What was it again? Something in finance. I took a slow sip of wine, letting the irony wash over me. Entry-level. They only knew. Just pushing papers, I replied carefully. My position as the youngest ever chairperson of the Federal Financial Oversight Committee wasn't public knowledge yet. Tomorrow's announcement would change that. Mom bustled in with her signature pot roast. Sarah's company is expanding again, she beamed. Third merger this year. Really? I asked, knowing exactly which merger she meant. The paperwork had crossed my desk yesterday. Biggest deal in corporate history, my brother-in-law Tom boasted. Once it goes through next week, we'll be running the largest financial services company on the East Coast. If it goes through, I thought, fingering the unsigned approval documents in my briefcase. And what about you, Claire? Mom turned to me with that familiar mix of pity and disappointment. Still processing forms at that government office? Something like that. My phone buzzed. A message from my assistant. Urgent. Thompson-Bradley merger approval needed. All parties awaiting your signature. Sarah's merger. The one she'd been bragging about all evening. The one that needed my approval to proceed. Claire never did have your ambitions, Sarah, Mom sighed. Some people just aren't meant for big things. Another buzz. Ma'am, Treasury Secretary on line 1 regarding merger approval. Remember when she wanted to be CO? Sarah laughed. Now look, stuck in some boring government job while I'm making history. I checked my watch. In exactly 12 hours my appointment would be announced. My face would be on every financial news channel. The mysterious new chairperson who'd been quietly reshaping federal financial policy. The merger announcement is tomorrow, Tom said proudly. Front page news. Sarah's moment to shine. My phone lit up again. Final reminder. Merger cannot proceed without your authorization. What do you think about the merger, Claire? Sarah asked condescendingly. Not that you'd understand the complexities, of course. I opened my briefcase slowly. Actually, I pulled out the approval documents. I understand perfectly. Oh, honey, Mom patted my hand. Don't try to pretend you understand Sarah's work. We know government filing clerks don't handle big corporate deals. I fought back a smile, thinking of the executive boardroom where I'd grilled Sarah Sue just yesterday. He hadn't known who I was either. Just saw a young woman in a power suit asking uncomfortably precise questions about his merger proposal. My phone buzzed again. A message from the Treasury Secretary himself. Need your decision on Thompson-Bradley. Markets opening in 14 hours. Tell me more about this merger, Sarah, I said, casually flipping through the documents. I'm particularly interested in the offshore holdings structure. Sarah's fork paused halfway to her mouth. How do you know about that? Just curious. I'd spent 6 months investigating those very holdings, finding irregularities that could sink the entire deal. Well, she recovered quickly, it's all very complicated. Way above your pay grade, little sis. Mom beamed at Sarah. My brilliant daughter making waves in the financial world while Claire. She sighed. At least you have job security, dear. Another message flashed. Ma'am, CNN wants to pre-record your statement about the merger decision. You know what your problem is, Claire? Sarah leaned forward. You never learned to think big. While I was planning corporate takeovers, you were content pushing papers in some government cubicle. If she only knew my office occupied the entire top floor of the Federal Financial Building, with a view that made her corner office look like that cubicle she imagined me in. Speaking of papers, I said carefully, how confident are you about tomorrow's announcement? 100%, Tom boasted. Everything's approved except some minor bureaucratic rubber stamp. Some government nobody has to sign off, but that's just formality. I almost choked on my wine. Government nobody. If they only knew that nobody was sitting right here deciding their fate. Claire, stop pestering your successful sister about business, Mom chided. Why don't you tell us about your new apartment instead? The one in the government housing complex? Sarah smirked. I thought about my penthouse overlooking the Capitol, paid for by the salary they thought was entry-level. My phone lit up again. Final deadline for merger approval, midnight. You know what? I stood up, gathering my things. I actually have some important papers to sign tonight. Oh honey, Mom said sympathetically. They're making you work late again? That's the problem with government jobs. No respect for family time. Something like that. I picked up my briefcase containing their merger's fate. Sarah, Tom, good luck with tomorrow's announcement. I have a feeling it'll be quite memorable. Thanks, sis, Sarah said dismissively. Though you might not read about it in the government newsletter. As I walked to my car, my phone buzzed one last time. A message from my assistant. Ma'am, your official announcement is scheduled for 9 a.m. tomorrow. All major networks will carry it live. I smiled, thinking of Sarah's face when she realized her nobody sister had been secretly running the most powerful financial oversight committee in the country. Tomorrow would definitely be memorable, just not the way they expected. The next morning I arrived at my office at 7 a.m., watching the sun rise over the Capitol through floor-to-ceiling windows. My assistant Michael was already waiting with a stack of newspapers. They're running the merger announcement early, he reported. Your sister's company is very confident. I glanced at the headlines. Thomson-Bradley merger set to reshape financial sector, followed by a photo of Sarah beaming beside her suit. How confident? I asked, settling behind my mahogany desk. They've already printed the celebration banners. Your sister gave 3 morning show interviews. And he paused, checking his tablet. She just posted on LinkedIn. Proud to announce the biggest merger in corporate history. Some people push papers, others make history. Interesting timing, I mused, considering I haven't signed the approval yet. My private elevator chimed. The Treasury Secretary walked in looking anxious. Claire, we need your decision. The markets open in 2 hours and Thomson-Bradley is already making announcements. Are they? I pulled up Sarah's latest interview on my wall screen. There she was, glowing with presumed triumph. This merger represents years of hard work by people who think big, who aren't content with small government jobs. They're certainly confident, the secretary observed. Too confident. I opened the merger file on my desk. Did you review my findings on their offshore structures? Yes. The irregularities are concerning. My phone buzzed, a text from Mom. Watching Sarah on TV. So proud. Hope you're having a good day at your little office job. Another buzz. Sarah, don't worry, sis. Once the merger goes through, maybe I can get you a real job. Something above paper pushing. Michael cleared his throat. Ma'am, your official announcement starts in 90 minutes. The networks are setting up now. I stood, walking to the window. From here I could see the Thomson-Bradley building, where Sarah would be holding court in her corner office, basking in premature glory. Pull up the merger approval document, I instructed Michael. He projected it onto the wall screen. One signature line waited at the bottom, mine. Also, I added, show me the regulatory investigation findings. A second document appeared, detailing months of investigation into Thomson-Bradley's questionable practices. The same investigation Sarah had dismissed as bureaucratic red tape. Your sister's company is hosting a breakfast celebration, Michael reported. They're live streaming it. I pulled up the stream. There was Sarah, champagne in hand, surrounded by cheering executives. To making history, she toasted. And to those smart enough to think big. The Treasury Secretary checked his watch. Claire, we need your decision. The markets. Actually, I smiled. I think I'll deliver my decision in person. In person. Michael, is my security detail ready? Yes, ma'am. And the press pool is assembled downstairs. I picked up my pen, but instead of signing the merger approval, I reached for a different document, one Sarah hadn't seen coming. Send a message to Thomson-Bradley, I instructed. Tell them the committee chair is arriving for an urgent announcement. They'll expect you to rubber stamp the merger, the secretary warned. They expect a lot of things, I replied, watching Sarah celebrate on the live stream. Time they learned who really runs this show. My phone buzzed again, Mom sending a group text, watching my successful daughter change the financial world. Some people understand ambition. I straightened my jacket, checking my reflection. The same power suit I'd worn to grill Sarah's suit. Michael, is my car ready? Yes, ma'am. Full security detail and press pool standing by. Perfect. I gathered my files, not the merger approval but something far more interesting. Let's go crash my sister's party. The Thompson-Bradley lobby fell silent as I walked in, flanked by federal agents and trailing a pack of reporters. Through the glass walls of the conference room above, I could see Sarah mid-toast, oblivious to the commotion below. "Ma'am," the security guard stepped forward, "the celebration is private." "Federal Financial Oversight Committee," my lead agent announced, flashing his badge. "The chairperson needs to speak with your executives immediately." I watched the color drain from the guard's face as he realized who I was. The same reaction I'd been getting since my appointment, surprised that someone so young could hold so much power. "Of course, Ms. Wells," he stammered, using my professional name. "Right this way." As we rode the elevator to the executive floor, my phone buzzed with messages. "Mom, Sarah's celebration is on CNBC. Why aren't you at work?" "Sarah, watching me make history, sis. This is what real success looks like." The elevator doors opened to chaos. Executives rushed around with champagne flutes, reporters positioned their cameras, and in the center of it all, Sarah held court like a queen at her coronation. "And next quarter's projections after the merger," she was saying, then stopped as she noticed the sudden silence falling over the room. "Claire, what are you doing here? This is a private executive event." I stepped forward, my security detail creating a path through the stunned crowd. "Oh, I'm exactly where I need to be. If you're here to congratulate me," she smirked, "you could have just sent a card. Though I know government salaries don't allow for much." "Actually," I set my briefcase on the conference table, "I'm here on official business." "Official?" She laughed. "What, did they send you to file the merger paperwork?" The room had gone completely quiet now, all eyes darting between us. The CEO, recognizing me from yesterday's questioning, had turned an interesting shade of pale. "Not exactly." I nodded to Michael, who switched on the wall screens. My official government portrait appeared alongside my title, Claire Wells, Chairperson, Federal Financial Oversight Committee. Sarah's champagne glass slipped from her hand, shattering on the marble floor. That's impossible," she whispered. "Is it?" I pulled out the merger documents. "Like these irregularities in your offshore accounts? The ones you thought nobody would notice. Those were approved by me." I smiled. "No, they weren't. In fact, nothing about this merger has been approved. Despite your premature celebration." The CEO stepped forward, sweating. "Ms. Wells, if we could discuss this privately." "Oh, but Sarah always says I think too small," I replied loudly. "So let's think big. Michael, please switch to the live feed." The screens changed to show every major news network, all carrying the same headline: Federal Oversight Chair to make announcement on Thompson-Bradley merger. "You see, Sarah," I continued, enjoying her growing horror, "while you were bragging about making history, I was making sure that history was legal." But you're just a government nobody," she stammered. "A nobody who holds the fate of your company in her hands." I opened my briefcase again, this time removing not an approval, but a different document entirely. "Who wants to read the investigation findings first?" The room erupted in chaos. Executives lunged for their phones, reporters started shouting questions, and Sarah just stood there, champagne soaking her designer shoes, staring at her little sister, who turned out to be not so little after all. My phone buzzed again. "Mom, watching the live coverage." "Claire? Is that you on CNBC?" "Mr. Thompson," I addressed the CEO, "perhaps you'd like to explain to your shareholders why you announced a merger without federal approval?" "We were assured," he began. "By whom?" "The government nobody." Sarah found her voice finally. "Claire, please. We can talk about this." "Now you want to talk?" I raised an eyebrow. What happened to pushing papers and thinking small? The screens switched to live market coverage. Thompson-Bradley stock was already plummeting on news of the investigation. "Michael," I called, "please distribute copies of our findings to the press." "And Sarah?" I turned to my sister, who had sunk into a chair. "Next time you host a celebration, make sure you have something to celebrate." "Wait," she called as I turned to leave. "You can't do this. I'm your sister." I paused at the door. "Actually, I'm the only one who can do this. That's why they call it oversight." As my security detail escorted me out, I heard the beginning of Sarah's world crashing down. Reporters shouting questions, executives demanding explanations, and the distinct sound of more champagne glasses hitting the floor. My phone buzzed one last time. Mom again. Claire, why didn't you tell us? I typed back a simple response. Some people push papers, Mom. Others make history. In the car heading back to my office, Michael showed me the updated headlines. Merger halted. Oversight chair reveals major irregularities. Thomson Bradley stock plunges as feds announce investigation. Claire Wells, the powerful government nobody, who brought down a financial giant. And my personal favorite, sibling rivalry meets federal oversight. How a paper pusher became the most powerful person in finance. Your sister is trying to call, Michael reported. Let her leave a message, I replied, watching Thomson Bradley's stock price continue to fall. I'm too busy pushing papers. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just proving them wrong, it's proving them wrong on national television with full federal authority and a security detail to back you up. After all, even government nobodies have their day.